Oh, that would be amazing, man. I still want to sit down with the elder, man. Whew. I still want to. I'm hoping that we can have somebody sit down with me on slavery in ancient Kemet, because I wanted to show some things. Slavery in ancient Kemet. I wanted to show some inscriptions from the period of Ramses II, and I want you to hear this, Brother Sonnet, because I know for a fact you never heard this before. Brother Shaka hinted towards it, but I read the Medu Neter. So when he gave the hint, I said, okay, let me go check it out. You remember Shaka had a little dialogue with Jabari and Garfield last year about whether or not there were slaves, and Shaka said that yeah, they were slaves. The people of Kemet weren't punks. Y'all trying to make them hippies. That Kemet wasn't strong enough to, to actually enslave people. He said, yes, slavery is not a European thing alone. Black Africans enslaved people. And he's absolutely right. Our ancestors definitely enslaved people. But watch this. Shaka tried to limit it just to Europeans. He tried to say, they was just enslaving Europeans. Brother Sonetta, there are depictions in ancient Kemet of Nubians in the slave market being beaten and sold. Pictorial images with the Medu Neter on the sides, which give a description of what the scenery is talking about. Nubians in the slave markets of Kemet being beaten and sold. These are Ethiopians, these are Cushites, which we call today Nubians, being beaten and sold during the Ramesses period. So how the hell are we acting as if Kemet doesn't have slavery when you have pictorial images of Nubians being beaten? But I got something even better for you. From the period of Ramses II, Shaka gave me a gem. You see, I told you, the reason why I'm a problem is because I'm unafraid to learn from people. I watch and study everybody. Shaka put a jewel out there. He don't realize how much damage it's about to do. Shaka said not only were Egyptians or the people of Kemet enslaving Europeans, but they branded them. You know, like our ancestors were branded with hot iron. Well, watch this, Brother Sonata. From the period of Ramses II, you have inscriptions in the Medu Neter in Kemet, which shows that they branded several Asiatic slaves. Branded them. That means they introduced a hot iron on their body with the names of the property owners to show that they were property. By the way, that's called chattel slavery. That would make Kemet in that sense no different than European colonizers in their behavior, which Jabari tried to suggest that, Kemet had captives of war criminals, but they didn't really treat anybody as chattel slaves. That's incorrect, because chattel slavery is the idea that you are the personal property of individual citizens and not necessarily belonging to the state. So if I'm a captive of war, I shouldn't belong to Brother Jabari. I would have belonged to one of the Nisut or the nobles or the high officials, but I wouldn't be the property of an average person. But you have slave records in Kemet which shows that average people in Kemet owned slaves, and branded them. But watch this on it, because it gets even better. Not only were the people of Kemet taking hot iron brands and branding slaves, putting Medu Neter, because they wasn't doing it with English. The sacred Medu Neter language was branded on many bodies of melanated people, including Nubians, depicting that they are the owners of these people. Or I'm absolutely right. And watch this. They also changed their names and gave them Kemetic names. Sonetta. When we came here to America, we came as chattel slaves. We became the personal property of individuals here in America. We didn't all belong to the state. Anybody in America could have owned slaves. That's chattel slavery definition number one. Number two, many of the slaves were branded. Those especially who were considered a threat to run away. The reason why we're going to brand them is because if you run away, you're my property. I got my mark on you. The people of Kemet were doing that. They even did it to Nubians. And watch this. They also renamed them and gave them Kemetic names. Sonetta. Wasn't we renamed and given names by our European colonizers? Wasn't we beaten and branded? So who they learned it from, Sonetta? So how we gonna act like there was no slavery in Kemet when in fact it's the same chattel slavery practiced by these bastard Europeans right in the transatlantic slave trade? That's the conversation they don't want to have. That I'm telling you, that's the reason why you got all them phone calls, because I got receipts, Brother Sonetta.
You were showing some of that?
Oh, I was showing it because I could read the inscriptions on the wall. I'm dangerous right now. The next person sit down with me in trouble.
I'm trying to get Jabari to sit with you.
Next person sit down with me in trouble if they try to go against it.
Yeah. I'm going to try to get Jabari to sit with you. That's going to be real good.
Because the conversation that we've been having for the longest is how in the hell are Hebrews slaves in Kemet when Kemet didn't have any slaves, which would show a great ignorance of slavery, the history of slavery in Kemet. There were 3 types of slavery in Kemet. You had chattel slavery, which is the same slavery we have here in America. You had bonded slavery, where people actually sold themselves into slavery because of their poor means. They didn't have a really make a means, to make a living on their own. So they're bonded slaves. Then you had serfs, or you had servants. But you definitely also had chattel slavery. And they was branding slaves, Brother Sonetta.
Well, they talk like it was just servitude.
Right. They talk, they downplay it.
You got all the metal netzer where you see this going on.
Brother, I got all the primary source inscriptions. I'm dangerous right now.
Would you say studying the metal netzer has advanced your knowledge?
Oh, of course. There's things I learned about the Bible differently because I'm studying the Medu Neter right now. One of the words for a slave in the Medu Neter is abeta, where the T is also a D. So the Hebrew word for slave is ebed or eved. It's the same word.
Now, Zion came strong. Zion Lexx is coming, and he did give the credit to Shaka most. I didn't play all of it. I still got more Zion to go. But Zion also stated that when Shaka was going at it with Jabari and Garfield, Shaka is the one that gave Zion the zeal to say, you know what, let me go and dig a little deeper and see what Shaka is talking about. And sure enough, Shaka was 100% correct. So Zion went deeper into the knowledge, found out that they were branding people. Oh my God, I even called Jabari that same day. It's on here. I called Jabari and I put Jabari on the phone with Zion. I said, Jabari, man, listen, man, Zion is coming with some fire. He coming with some smoke. And Jabari admitted that, yes, Ramesses and them had some slaves, yo, and some branding. But Jabari, was kind of sliding right in the fence saying stuff like, well, it was a different, some type of, you know how we do. But that's going to be fire when I bring these two together, and especially Infidisi. Infidisi and Zion will be in the house.